All right, guys. So this is probably the most interesting public exchange that I've ever seen between a big corporation and politicians. Okay, because Amazon is on the verge of unionizing. At least the facility in Alabama is. Okay, and they're holding that vote sometime this week. And basically, if these workers vote to unionize, that's going to set off a chain reaction for other facilities that Amazon owns, and also for the whole e-commerce industry as well. So this is a big deal. And as you know, Bolshevik Bernie and Elizabeth Warren are on the scene, right? They're on the scene and encouraging these workers to vote to unionize, while also pressuring Amazon to improve its work conditions and basically trying to run that company. Okay. And apparently Jeff Bezos is sick of it. He is sick of Bolshevik Bernie trying to run his business, as Amazon's Twitter war with the Democrats, mainly Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, was incited by Jeff Bezos, who, like I told you guys, apparently was pissed off at them for continuously attacking the company about its work conditions, right? And wages and healthcare and things of that nature. You guys all know what Bernie Sanders likes to rant about, okay? So let's read this, because this stuff is fascinating. So Amazon is firing back against Senator Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren over their criticisms of the company's labor and business practices at behest of none other than Jeff Bezos. The CEO expressed anger in recent weeks that Amazon officials weren't more aggressive in pushing back against flack that the company that he and other top brass deemed inaccurate or misleading, according to Recode. Bezos directed the firm to fight back, and last week the e-commerce giant went after both senators on Twitter in an unusual, snarky attack for a large button-up corporation. Central to the dust-up is the largest union election in Amazon's history at its Bessemer, Alabama warehouse. Election results will be tallied earlier this week. Amazon officials are on edge because if a majority of the workers vote to unionize, it could unite a chain reaction at other facilities, with the potential to force the e-commerce giant to overhaul how it manages its hundreds of thousands of frontline U.S. workers. When news broke last week that Sanders was planning to visit Alabama in the final days of voting, top Amazon executive Dave Clark fired off a Twitter thread that started with the following post. I welcome Senator Bernie Sanders to Birmingham, and I appreciate his push for a progressive workplace. Clark's account posted on Wednesday. Quote, I often say that we are the Bernie Sanders of employers, but that's not quite right, because we actually deliver a progressive workplace. Okay, so I want to show you guys a little bit more in terms of what Dave actually tweeted, because he went a lot further than that. He really came out to Bernie, because after this tweet, he said, for our constituents, a $15 an hour minimum wage, health care from day one, career progression, and a safe and inclusive work environment. So if you want to hear about a $15 an hour minimum wage and health care, Senator Sanders will be speaking downtown. But if you would like to make at least $15 an hour and have good health care, Amazon is hiring. Woo-wee! Woo-wee! Dave Clark came at Bernie Sanders' throat because he said, listen, you talk a big game, but we actually play the game. We offer our employees $15 an hour and good health care, right? That's what you preach about. That's what we actually do, right? And we've delivered on that. He's saying Bernie has not delivered on that. He also said the Vermont minimum wage is $11.75. Senator Sanders can't even seem to influence his home state. I can assure you, while the senator was one of the many voices on this message, the decision to lead on this was ours. Again, like I said, guys, he's saying that Bernie Sanders talks, we do. We actually delivered on this. And also, I'm surprised that he only bought up the minimum wage, right? Because Vermont also does not have single payer health care, right? Which Bernie Sanders swears up and down is what we need, even though they tried to pass it in the early 2010s, but then they abandoned it. And guys, guess why they abandoned it? You guessed it, taxes. Taxes were too high. It was like, no, this is going to cost way too much. And they abandoned it. So Bernie Sanders is talking a lot about $15 an hour minimum wage and single payer health care, but he can't even get that stuff passed in his own state, even if there's support for it, because of taxes and the stress that it's going to put on business. And the Amazon executive brings up a good point here. Even if you don't agree with Amazon's actions, right, in the way they treat their workers, they have executed on Bernie Sanders' promises, right? Promises that Bernie Sanders has failed to deliver to not only the nation as a whole, but to his own state. So let's read a little bit more here. A few hours later, the official Amazon News media relations Twitter account with more than 170,000 followers hit back against Representative Mark Pocan, who had questioned Clark's progressive workplace assertion by alluding to stories of Amazon's pace of work being so demanding that workers have to urinate in water bottles. Amazon News tweeted in response, quote, "You don't really believe the pen and bottles thing, do you? If it were true, nobody would work for us. The truth is that we have over 1 million incredible employees around the world who we are proud of and have great wages and health care from day one." Users on Twitter responded with news accounts of Amazon workers complaining about inhumane working conditions, with New York Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also weighing in. The House freshman tweeted a screenshot of an email in which an Amazon manager complained about bottles of urine left inside the delivery vans. Soon after, a back and forth with Warren ensued after the Democrats criticized the company's tax payments. The same Amazon account, quote, tweeted Warren with this message: "This is extraordinary and revealing. One of the most powerful politicians in the United States just said she's going to break up an American company so that they can't criticize her anymore." Amazon did not respond to requests seeking comment. All right, guys. So like I told you guys at the beginning, this is probably the most interesting exchange I've ever seen between a big company and politicians out in the open, right? And it's even more interesting that Jeff Bezos was like, y'all better start clapping back at these, you know what I'm saying? You better start clapping back at these folks, right? That was interesting. And here's the thing. I think both sides have good points, right? I think that Amazon has good points in the sense that the main things that the progressives are touting, right, which is $15 an hour minimum wage and, you know, healthcare. It's like, listen, we do that. We provide our workers with that, right? You guys can't even execute on your own policies in your own states, but yet you're criticizing us for doing more than you've done. We've done more for our workers than you've done for your constituents in your own state. And I think that's a very strong argument. I think they're right about that. However, I do think that the Democrats, do have a certain point when it comes to working conditions. Because, guys, I've already done a video about how Amazon basically was caught stealing money from their delivery drivers, right? Stealing tips, right? And I'm not one of these, conservatives that, believe that corporations can do no wrong. Obviously, corporations try to take advantage of their workers, right? Obviously, corporations, may try to skim on certain things that may contribute to the workplace being more hazardous than it should be. I 100% understand that. And Amazon is probably definitely guilty of some of those things. But when it comes to the pen and the water bottles thing, I mean, here's the thing. When I was in college, I Ubered, right? I Ubered. I can log on and off the app, or whatever, right? And I'm not necessarily under the scrutiny of a company like Amazon, but I remember, going back and forth between rides, if I had to use the bathroom, because I drink a lot of water, I work out, I try to be healthy. Hey, I got to stop on the side of the street and, take a whiz. You know what I'm saying? I got to handle the business. So, I'm not sure if the pen and the water bottles thing is necessarily an indictment on the working conditions. I'm not saying that it is. I'm not saying it isn't. I just don't know. Right. But, the thing is that at this point, if Amazon workers vote to unionize, then the workers will be able to handle these issues and square them out. But up until this point, it almost seems that these progressives ask Amazon to do something, and then Amazon does it, and then they want Amazon to do more, right? And then Amazon does that, and then they're like, nope, you got to keep doing this. You got to keep doing that. I mean, at this point, y'all might as well apply for a job on the board of directors, right? Just apply for a job on the board of directors since you know how to run the company. So, I think both sides here, have some wrongs. Right. And I think they make some good points. I just thought it was an interesting exchange. So I want to know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.